What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for watching. I am very excited for today's video because we have by far the craziest slingshot we've ever had on this channel. Really the craziest slingshot I've probably ever seen in my life, period. This is the Falcon GT high-powered slingshot rifle. Now, before we get started, yes, like most slingshots, this thing is Chinese. In fact, it is so Chinese that I can't even read the logo that's on top of it because it's written in Chinese. So I found this thing online the other day. I was looking for like the most powerful production slingshot you can get. I came across this one. I'll put it up on the screen. It was called the Demon, which is probably the coolest name you could ever give to a slingshot. Had it in my cart, was ready to check out, went to do one last bit of research on it, and of course, I found a Demolition Ranch video. So Matt had already tried that one a couple years ago. So I went back, found probably the second coolest one that I could find, and the Falcon GT is what we found. The Demon advertised a velocity of about 400 feet per second, I think. This one is between 300 and 350 feet per second, which is still absolutely incredible for a slingshot. In previous videos, other slingshots we've tried have like, I don't know, 80 to 100 feet per second. Nowhere near as powerful as this one should be. So I'm very excited to try it. Now, they do market these slingshots with velocities north of 300 feet per second as hunting slingshots. That's something I've personally always been kind of skeptical about. I definitely think you could take a small animal with this, but it just seems kind of unethical to me to start lobbing metal balls at animals with velocities that low, especially past a certain distance. However, I could be wrong. In fact, I hope I am wrong. And today, we're gonna test the Falcon GT and see how dangerous a high velocity slingshot rifle actually is. Let's do it. All right, here we go. We are gonna start with the flat bands on here. It did come with a couple flat and a couple tube. I've also got an interesting one I'll show you here in a minute that might turn this thing into more of a shotgun, which should be interesting. From what I've read, I'm no slingshot expert, but flat bands typically give you more velocity, they're a little louder, and they wear out quicker. Tube bands are quieter, last longer, but don't usually have the velocity of the flat bands. Obviously, we're looking for max power and velocity out of this thing, so these are the ones we're gonna start with. By the way, shout out to opticsplanet.com for the EOTech E-Flex. This is not where I thought it would end up, but I appreciate Optics Planet. If you shop there, use our discount code ONESHOT and it will save you money. They help us out quite a bit, so definitely go check them out. We'll go ahead and start with an 8mm ball. That is what most of the velocities are advertised with. And the way this thing works is pretty interesting. You put your ball in the pouch, lock it in place just like that, and then to cock this thing, you put this piece on the ground and step on it like this, and pull up, and it's fully cocked. Look at that thing. So, as you can see, there's really nothing special about this other than the length of pull that it gives you. I think it's like 26 or 28 inches, and with bands that short, most slingshots are not gonna allow you to pull it back that far. So let's go ahead and shoot this thing. I'm honestly kind of nervous. A metal ball going 300 feet per second, bouncing back and hitting me in the face is not something that sounds appealing to me, so we'll go ahead and pray for the best. Here we go. I'm gonna aim right at the bullseye. That was there in no time. Okay, I went ahead and adjusted our point of impact on the optic. We'll see if it's a little bit closer to the middle. And I can't get over how crazy this thing looks. It's kind of deceiving how quiet it is because obviously I'm used to firearms and stuff that make a ton of noise. This thing is extremely quiet, but it definitely looks like it's going fast. Dude, I would not want to get shot with this thing. I'll tell you that. Okay, now this is a 6mm ball, definitely a little smaller than the other ones, which should give us more velocity. See if we can hit the top of that cardboard target, then we'll try some different stuff. Did you see the smoke that came off of that? All right, now we got a 12-ounce can of soda. This is more of an accuracy test than it is a power test because it's kind of a small target, but if I hit it, it should do the job. Yep. All right, I believe that is the entrance hole right there, and that is the exit hole on the back. So that's a good sign. It was powerful enough to get all the way through that soda can. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and try a set of tube bands that they gave us. Like I said, we did get two, one red, one green. I think the green ones are just a little bit stiffer. I honestly feel like I could cut those flat bands shorter and get more velocity out of them, but I'm kind of nervous to do that because I don't have much experience and I don't want them to snap and hit me in the side of the face. So we'll see how these compare. Holy crap. That was so much harder to pull back. All right, let's try a 12-ounce soda with the tube bands. Look at how stretched those things are. Feels like they could snap at any minute. I don't know where to hold. Well, I think that answers that question. The tubes are far more powerful than the flat bands, at least with this slingshot. I probably didn't cut them short enough. I looked online, it said for 26-inch length of pole, cut them like 4 or 4.5 inches. That's what I did, and obviously they're not short enough because right now the tubes are crushing it. And just to show you what I'm talking about, that's the damage we got on the soda can with the flat bands, and that is what we got with the tube bands. So they're obviously more powerful. I will say they don't seem to be as accurate. They're kind of going all over the place, whereas the flat bands were hitting in the exact same spot every single time. So that is a factor as well. All right, I went ahead and got out of the sun. We're gonna try a can of baby powder spray. If I hit this, it should look cool. I'll be shocked if I get this first try. It's a pretty small target. That was sweet. It is freezing cold. There's the entrance hole, and that's the exit hole. So it went all the way through that one. Holy crap, this thing is cold. Yeah, dude, so far I feel like these tube bands are definitely the more powerful of the two. I might try cutting the flat bands down quite a bit more and see if that makes a difference, but I'm having fun with these. Okay guys, we're gonna go ahead and chronograph a couple different band projectile combinations just to see definitively which one gives us the best results. I am gonna start with the flat band. I cut it down probably another 1/2 inch to 1 inch on each side just to give us a little bit more velocity. Yes, we are 3 feet away because I feel like I would shoot my chronograph if I got much further. So we'll go ahead and start with the 8mm projectile. Again, the advertised velocity on this is around 300 feet per second. I'm expecting it to be significantly less than that because that's just how advertised velocities work. Go ahead and cock it. It's still a lot easier to cock than the tube bands were. Make sure my other camera's recording. And here we go. 282. Okay, that is a lot closer to 300 feet per second than I was expecting to see. Next up, we have the 6mm projectile. Definitely a little smaller and lighter weight than the 8mm. I feel like on the targets we were shooting, it wasn't hitting quite as hard, but it should be going a little bit faster. Let's see. 282 surprised me. 303 feet per second. Well, I was wrong. It broke 300 feet per second. Wow. And next up, we have the red tube bands. Actually didn't shoot targets with these, but we'll see how they do. We're gonna start with an 8mm projectile. I think the flat bands gave us 280 something with this bullet. A lot harder to cock than the flat bands were. Let's see how fast it's going. 306 feet per second. And that was the 8mm projectile. And the 6mm projectile, flat bands gave us 303 with this one. Based off that last one, I think this will probably do better. 303 is the number to beat. 313 feet per second. They're just getting faster and faster. And the green tube bands, once again, we'll start with an 8mm projectile. Again, when I was shooting targets, these definitely felt more powerful than the flats, but I did cut the flat shorter since then. These are definitely the hardest ones to cock back. Let's see if it translates to velocity. Yep. 317 feet per second with an 8mm projectile. And the 6mm projectile, 316 is the number to beat. Since we already beat it with the 8mm, I assume it will probably happen. Here we go. Wow. 332 feet per second. And I heard that one hit a tree probably 50 yards away with authority. Okay, so clearly the tube bands are giving us the higher velocities, which is weird because everything I read online said the exact opposite. And I've already cut these as short as I possibly can. So I can't cut them any shorter. What I think is probably happening is because this is a slingshot rifle, and to cock this thing, you use your foot and all of your upper body weight, we're able to stretch those tubes a lot further than you would be able to with a regular handheld slingshot or a wrist rocket. Most of the data that I'm seeing is probably coming from those kind of slingshots. So for the rest of the video, I will be using the tubes, although I do think the flat bands are more practical, easier to use, more accurate, and just overall the better of the two. But unfortunately, they're not giving us the velocity that we need. All right, guys, here we go. The final test that I want to do with the Falcon GT high-powered slingshot rifle is the self-defense test. How dangerous would a slingshot be if you had to use it for self-defense? For this one, we are going to use a ballistic dummy lab head. Now, this head was actually used in our 50 cal video that we did last week. If you haven't seen that, definitely go watch it. It's pretty epic, but it does have some stains on it, but this head was not compromised at all. As you can see, it is still in perfect condition. It was just in close proximity to another head that unfortunately did not survive the video. So it is a little stained, but it should get the job done. Obviously, it would probably not be anyone's first choice, but if you were in a situation where you had to use a slingshot rifle like this for self-defense, how effective would it actually be? Let's find out. All right, guys, here we go. Of course, we are going to use the green tube band since these are the ones that gave us the highest velocity. I'm probably 7 feet away, extremely close. I don't want to miss the target or hit it on the chin or something like that, and these bands are just not very accurate. Gonna use an 8mm projectile for this. The 6mm bullets do go faster, but I think these have a little more weight, and I've got more faith that they'll actually penetrate the target. I'm extremely nervous about this. If this thing does not go through, it's gonna bounce off and probably come right back at me. And that does not sound very fun, I'm gonna be honest. So let's hope we hit it first try. I don't think I've ever been so nervous to take a shot on camera before. All right, I'm gonna turn sideways to protect the important stuff. Please go through. That's a death shot, I'm gonna be honest. And there it is. So that's the entrance hole. At first, I thought it just hit the ballistic shell and bounced off somewhere because I didn't really hear anything. When you get a closer look, and I'm sure we can see on the slow-mo, it absolutely blew straight through that bone and went into our ballistic dummy head. There's also no fluid. I was aiming up here. It went a little bit lower than where I was aiming. Again, not the most accurate tool in the world. Of course, it did not come out the other side. I would be absolutely shocked if it did, but it penetrated that skull, and our slingshot projectile is inside that ballistic dummy head. We've done enough videos with these heads at this point. You guys know, kind of what the baseline standard is. They will stop 9mm, 45s, they're pretty realistic in my opinion, up until you get to like 50 cals and stuff like that. Then they just turn into watermelons. But to be fair, that might be what happens in real life as well. But I think that result is pretty clear. Those slingshot projectiles going 300 plus feet per second will absolutely break bone, and it went straight into our ballistic dummy head. Would it be a fatal shot? I really don't know. It's kind of hard to say. It's not one that I would want to test. I'll just put it that way. You know what? I'm gonna take one more shot and see if we can get this one to hit a little bit higher up, like actually where I was aiming. I would imagine that that part of the head is probably one of the hardest areas to hit because it is down kind of by the cheekbone. So I got a little more confidence in it now. We'll try to put this one up higher. I mean, come on, dude. For a slingshot, that's pretty impressive. I'm gonna go ahead and officially say I do not think this is a less lethal self-defense tool. Looks pretty damn lethal to me. And there's our second shot on the ballistic dummy head, probably 2 inches above the first one. Not much different. They both gave us similar results. The second one was just up where most of that fluid is at. So again, I think that did the job as well. Well, I'm actually kind of surprised by this. I thought that it would probably hit the ballistic dummy head, break bone, and then either bounce off or stick in the surface of the ballistic shell. It is actually penetrating all the way through the head and into the fluid. And just to give you a comparison, I've done videos with these heads and 22 long rifles. This is definitely giving us a more dramatic result than the 22. We're certainly getting more fluid. Of course, it is a bigger and heavier projectile as well, but that's not what I expected. Okay, I just came out to about 50 yards, probably closer to 55, 60. Nothing crazy, but I want to see if we can hit steel with this slingshot at fairly long distance. After all, they do call this thing a slingshot rifle. So we know these projectiles are going about 300 feet per second. It doesn't sound like much when you compare it to a gun, but if you think of a slingshot bullet going an entire football field in 1 second, that's pretty dang fast. So we've got our 8mm projectile here, and we're gonna see if we can hit steel. I have no idea where to hold. I'm just gonna put it right in the middle of that orange target. We'll see if we get lucky. You know what? That did not drop very much. I saw it go just underneath the bottom of that target. And it went perfectly straight too. By the way, the reload speed is suboptimal at best. All right, I'm gonna try the exact same thing, but this time I'm gonna hold at the top of the target. I gotta say, I did not think that would be that easy. Surprisingly, it is accurate at long range. I'm gonna try the impossible and go for the little 6-inch circle plate. If I miss it 2 or 3 times, I'm gonna give up. All right, here we go. I think I know where to hold. Oh my gosh. I thought that was hitting. What's cool with these is you can follow the bullet all the way to the target. And that one looked like it was right on the money. I think it ended up just a little bit low. Even when they miss and hit the railroad tie, it still sounds kind of cool because you can hear that thud. All right, red target, I think we're gonna get it. Unbelievable, dude. That's a small target at 50 to 60 yards with a freaking slingshot. Huh. Long range performance is better than I anticipated. I gotta be honest. All right, guys, there it is. The Falcon GT high-powered slingshot rifle. This thing definitely impressed me today. I am gonna stick with my original opinion. I still don't think a slingshot like this is the most ethical hunting tool, just because it's so hard to be accurate and predictable, especially at longer range. That being said, I do think this thing is very dangerous, and I would not categorize this as a less lethal self-defense tool. In the right circumstances, close range, with the right bands and projectiles, I think this could absolutely be a deadly weapon. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I love testing stuff like this just because I've been shooting guns for so many years. I kind of know what to expect going into those videos. When we do these tests, I really have no idea what to expect. And once again, I was surprised by the Falcon GT slingshot rifle. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please let me know down in the comments below. As always, hit that like button for me, guys. I would really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.